Mr. Bones.
What up, peeps? Mr.Bones back at you, and welcome back to Peep This Reviews. And what we're talking about is 1974's The Living Dead at Manchester Morgue, aka Let Sleeping Corpses Lie. Directed by George Grau, written by Juan Cobos, Sandro Continenza, and Marcelo Coscia. Starring Ray Lovelock as George Meaning and Christina Glibbo as Edna Simmons. A cop chases two hippies suspected of a series of Manson family-like murders. Unbeknownst to him, the real culprits are the living dead, brought to life with a hunger for human flesh by ultrasonic radiation being used for pest control. In The Living Dead at Manchester Morgue, aka Let Sleeping Corpses Lie, you meet George, who is like a rare artifacts and antiques collector, and he gets on his bike to go somewhere. He stops by a gas station to get some gas, and as he's taking a drink of a soda pop, this woman pulls into the gas pumps and backs up right into his bike and wrecks it, bends his front wheel. And the guy at the gas station says he can fix it, but he's going to have to order a front wheel from out of town. As the credits are rolling and George is heading out of town, you get treated to a bunch of random scenes of traffic jams and people going places, and you get a random streaker of a woman coming off some steps and just throwing off her trench coat, full on bush and titties hanging, running across the road. No one acknowledges her. No one says nothing. I watched the special features, and the director said he just wanted to put that in there because that existed back in the days of, back in the 70s, of like women protesters and stuff. They would strip and hold up signs and protest stuff. So he just wanted to randomly put that in there. So then George goes up to her and says, "Are you going to Windermere?" And she says, "Well, not all the way there, but nearby." He said, "Well, you'll take me there, won't you? It's the least you can do." And they agree to share the car, and they get so far and they get to a fork in the road, and neither of them want to be late to where they're going, so they agree to share. And she says, "Why don't you take me to where I'm going?" She needs to get to her sister's house by a certain time for some reason, and he needs to get to a place to talk to someone about a house before it's too late. So she says, "Why don't you just take me quickly to my sister's house, and you can take the car, and I'll have someone come and get it later." So he agrees. He gets so far, she forgets where his sister lives, so he stops to ask for directions, goes up a hill, and while he's up there talking to the people, a zombie attacks Edna out of nowhere. The scene kind of reminds me of when Barbara gets attacked in Night of the Living Dead. And she runs across a pond and up the hill to tell George that a dead guy is chasing her. And of course he doesn't believe it because the dead guy has just disappeared. The zombies in this movie have a knack for being able to just disappear, and it takes a long time for anyone to see them. The police don't believe them when they tell them what's going on, and dead people keep popping up because these zombies are killing them. So as the synopsis says, they think that these two are going around killing people. Well, George doesn't believe it anyway. He hadn't seen one yet. So to prove to her that dead people aren't walking around, he goes to the cemetery and takes her into a tomb where coffins are to show her that he's still in his coffin, but he wasn't. And that's when he comes up behind them, and somebody or something shuts the door to the tomb. They get stuck in there with the dead, and they have to fight their way out of there. Luckily, there's like a hole in the wall where there's a hole coming through from where a freshly dug grave plot is, and they was able to get out. But then a cop shows up, and George grabs a cop and pulls him into like this little office or something, and they get stuck in there. So now finally a cop sees the zombies. After being stuck in there for a few minutes, the cop decides to try to run for it and go get help. And these zombies are like superhuman. The main one picks up a tombstone out of the ground and throws it into the cop's back, and they pull his intestines and everything out and kill him. This movie is very gory and bloody. There is a scene where they get a hold of a woman and pull her whole damn breast off her chest. That was pretty gory and bloody and unexpected and pretty cool. Last time I saw a scene like that was in a movie called Nightmare City. This movie reminded me a lot of Romero movies, which is no surprise because I watched the special features, and the director said the writer tried to make it like the Dead films. I believe they said when he pitched it to the director, it's like Night of the Living Dead, but in color. They're not identical, but very similar. Well, reminds me more of the color movies Day and Dawn, all the gore and stuff, but in color. The government are using this truck that is emitting this like ultrasonic sound that is supposed to be killing bugs, but it also reanimates the dead. So yeah, this was a really good movie. I highly enjoyed it. It reminded me a lot of Romero's Night of the Living Dead and Dawn of the Dead. Very gory, lots of flesh ripping and stuff. So if you like any of that, I'd highly recommend checking this out. Thanks for watching. Peace.
My dick playing role games with my dick swing. I'll be Indiana Bones in the Temple of Boom.